legends, and welcome to Unbeatable You, where we connect, thrive, and conquer. I'm your host, Brett Robbo, and I'm super grateful for your valuable time. So let's just dive straight in. Keep thriving and enjoy. People often talk about work-life balance. I like to use the philosophy of work-life harmony. In music, we have harmony. We don't have all of the instruments and the singer going crazy all of the time. Sometimes there'll be a guitar riff and the other instruments and the singer won't be doing much at all. Sometimes it will be the drummer's turn and the other instruments are just holding some tune. Sometimes it's the singer's turn to riff and the music is a bit quieter, and then sometimes they're all going together. It's the harmony of all of this together, the ups and the downs, that makes music so beautiful. And we need to think about that in our own lives. We can't expect to have 8 hours at work and then 8 hours with family and 8 hours with hobby and multiple hours of training and social life. It just doesn't happen like that. There's a harmony. It's not a balance, it's a harmony. And just like we move through seasons in our life of summer, winter, autumn, and spring, we move through seasons and phases in our life. So we move through different seasons, and within the seasons we have a phase. For example, in winter, depending on which part of the world, you might have a lot of snow for some periods and then a calming off of that, and it just holds the snow. In certain parts of the world, you will have storms throughout certain seasons, wet seasons and dry seasons within the summer or the winter. So we have these different phases within the seasons, and we need to learn how to honor them, respect them, and accept them. So within those seasons and different phases, we need to understand that you won't be living the same life that you lived 5 years ago, and you won't be living the same life in 3 to 5 years' time from now. We evolve as human beings. We evolve through these seasons and phases. Some of the seasons that you might go through are as a new parent. When the first child comes along, that is a very different season that you're stepping into. The time demands and your energy demands and your relationship demands are very different to what they've ever been. You might be in a season of starting a business or bringing a business back up that might have dropped off a bit through certain periods of time. And that's going to require more of your time and energy and effort on the work aspect, which means less time with family, less time for your physical exercise, less time for your hobbies, but it doesn't mean neglecting them. We need to identify what they are and then respect those phases. So some of the phases that I've been through in my life are in my early 20s, early to mid 20s was a lot of partying and treating my body like crap in terms of eating a lot more junk and getting away with it, to be honest, because when we're in our 20s, our bodies can process a lot more. Moving through from mid 20s to before having kids was a phase of lots of travel, international travel with my work. And my gorgeous partner, now wife, was doing a similar thing. She was pursuing her goals to qualify for the Olympics and traveling the world. I was pursuing my goals in performance therapy and high performance coaching, traveling the world and spending long chunks of time away from each other and away from our home environment. In that season, it was manageable. And some other seasons that I've had when I quit my job in high performance sport and transitioned into creating my own performance coaching business. Some of the biggest seasons that I've had and transitions and phases have been around childbirth. When my first child came along, that was a massive transition and stepping into the season. It was a huge shock to the system and required a lot more time and attention in the home dynamics and took a lot of sleep and a lot of energy that I wasn't expecting. Create some relationship tension that had never been there before. And then having a second child, it was a similar kind of thing. So understanding these phases and the different the different demands that came with them allow us to actually respect them. And in terms of what we need to respect in these different seasons and phases, a few key things. Respecting our health foundations. Regardless of whether it's a newborn child, regardless of whether it's a phase in business where you've just got to dig your heels in and get shit done, which is phases that we end up in, regardless of what the phase is, we need to respect our health pillars, the foods that we eat, the way that we breathe, movement as medicine. We need to respect our sleep, although it can be stolen from us from babies and toddlers at times. And we need to respect our time and energy in our relationships. We also need to, on the relationship pillar, we need to respect the other person or the other people in the relationships. So if children, whether it's the first, second, third, or fourth, I know many people with 4 children, and I'm still not sure why they've done that, but congratulations to them. Now I say that with jokes. In those phases, it requires us to have a lot of attention and respect to the other person, to the mother and what they're shifting through, and the demands that are required from the other partner in terms of their work environment. And if it's not that stepping into parenthood, it's the when we need to work more to establish a business, to get the business back up to a certain point, or in a career, if you're really driven, you've got to dig your heels in to get to that next level. These phases happen. We need to respect the other people in that equation and communicate to them. This is the phase that I'm in, and this is what it's going to require of me. This is how I still see our relationship, whether you're communicating to your partner, your children, if they're a bit older, other people in your business or workspace, whatever it might be, communicating to them the phase that you're in, what's going to be required of you and how you're going to be showing up and how it's going, and acknowledging how it's going to impact that other person. Some other areas that we need to respect are training loads. So what we can't do in times of sleep deprivation and energy demands from children, or when we need to dig our heels in and spend a lot more time in the business or in our career, is do bigger, longer, more energy demanding training sessions. These are times of maintenance training because movement is medicine and exercise is essential. So we're not neglecting it and leaving it behind. We're respecting that our time, our mental energy, our physical energy, and our time is needed in this phase somewhere else. And so we will be prioritizing movement as medicine or exercise because it's essential. However, we won't be burning ourselves out. I've got a great philosophy that I love around energy up training. So only exercising to give you energy. So that can be short little bouts. It can be really slow movement, walks in nature. Maybe you don't have time for that in amongst the really busy times, but understanding what it is that gives you energy, not getting to the end of a training session or a workout or whatever it might be, and then you're depleted. And then you need another coffee or a couple of coffees to try and get you back up to just be able to communicate or get the job done. Really respecting these phases and communicating the demands that will be on you and acknowledging the demands that will be on other people as you enter these phases. The reason why I wanted to speak to this is because something that I see time and time again is people on the other side of a season or the other side of a challenging phase, and then realizing that their mental health or their physical well-being or their relationships have been neglected and they need to make up for that. They're trying to play catch up, and it can be really hard, and it requires even more energy than what it did to get through that challenging phase. I say this not from a place of judgment. I say it from a place of observations. We are human. We are likely to make poor decisions when the going gets tough if we don't understand how to breathe effectively to calm our mind and allow us to respond in situations as opposed to react. If we don't know how to breathe and move and focus our mind and our energy and our attention in the directed ways that will support our energy and support our goals and support our demands in those moments as opposed to depleting us. So some questions that you want to ask is, what season am I in? And what phase am I in this season? And who else is affected by this phase or this season? You might be in a great phase where the children are a bit older and they're a lot more independent, and you now have more time to spend with your partner, more time for travel and adventure, more time for longer, more enjoyable training sessions and recovery sessions. You might have that time. Still communicate that with the people in your life so they know why you're putting more time and energy into yourself. Whatever phase you're in, identify it, respect it, and also accept where you're at. Because if you're deep in a challenging phase and season right now, like I was at the end of last year, that was a really difficult, challenging phase within a season. If you're in that, acknowledging that and accepting it, that this is where I'm at. It's just a season. It's challenging, but it's just a season. In those seasons and phases, we need to be more mindful of what's important. For example, in my challenging season last year and phases, I had to put a lot more focus. I had to focus a lot harder on the things that usually come simply to me, like crystal clear communication in my relationship, like love and affection, like being present with my children, and even focusing on the health pillars. Usually these come really naturally and normally, but in amongst the chaos, in amongst the challenging phase of a very challenging season, I had to really work hard and focus on that. It wasn't as automated because of all the other challenges that were going on. So if you find yourself in a very busy period and demanding period, and you want to maintain a strong relationship with your partner, you want to maintain a deep bond and connection with your children, and you want to maintain your health and well-being physically, mentally, and emotionally, you can identify it. You can accept it. Take the responsibility. Acknowledge where you're at. Acknowledge the other people in the equation and take action from that space to move forward. Evolution is inevitable. Challenging seasons and phases are inevitable. Negatively impacting your health and relationships is not inevitable. It's optional. It's not easy, but it's simple. Make wise choices that align with your seasons and phases of your life. And remember, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? This is your opportunity to live your unbeatable life. There you go, another empowering episode, and thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you check out the show notes for any extra links or information that we spoke about in this episode. Don't forget you can now catch the Unbeatable You podcast on the YouTube channel, Brett Robbo Coach. If you want info and inspiration straight into your inbox on how to live an unbeatable life, you can sign up to receive weekly insights and actionable steps for optimal performance and thriving in every aspect of your life, plus first release offers on Unbeatable You courses and live events. Don't worry, there's no spam, just short, punchy, value-giving emails straight to you. Simply go to brettrobbo.com/community. If you find value in this podcast, don't forget to share it around with your mates and subscribe, rate, and review. It really supports the podcast mission massively. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can connect with me at Brett Robbo Coach on social media, and that's where you can let me know who you want to hear on the show. Keep thriving, legends, and as always, remember, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? This is your opportunity to live your unbeatable life.